So basically, I wanted to get on this Zoom today with you because you talk a lot about twin flames and the story. And I was a twin flame. That story doesn't come up for me anymore. Um, but when I hear you talk, it brings me back to my twin flame days. And I want to be able to ask you questions from my perspective. And we have some questions from people in your group that want to ask you stuff. So, if it's okay, I can start asking you.
Yeah, shoot for it. I'm ready.
Okay. All right. So one of the questions is it okay to talk about your twin flame? Obsessed over your twin flame. Is it okay to apparently speak to them telepathically?
Yeah. Well, there's no control over that. There's no control over what is the person is, basically doing. I mean, I feel like when you try to control that is when it feels more restricted because you're trying to stop yourself from doing something that is natural for you to do. But I feel like when you think that it's wrong, it's almost like you're not okay with you. And I'm going to use the word authentic because in the story, there's such thing as being authentic. It's like you're trying not to be authentically who you are because you're so worried about the whole, rules and stuff, that comes with this whole apparent journey that you can't do this and you can do that and this and not that, you know what I mean? And I feel like so many people focused on what you can't do and what you're not supposed to do, or the whole healing shit, that they literally forget who they are and what's natural for them because they think it's wrong to do that. And I don't feel like there's any control over over how the person is feeling and what they want to talk about. There's no such thing as not being able to do something that's natural for you to do. And I feel
You
like
know,
people get stuck, right?
so when I was in the twin flame journey, I healed my chakras. I, went through all my childhood experiences. I went to therapy. I tried to keep my vibration high. I meditated. I tried not to think of him. I did all the things that they tell you to do. Nothing happened. Nothing absolutely happened. And it was, it's like, if you did this, then you have to do that. And then if you did this, you're going to have to do that. And it's just never ending. And you're just saying, hey, if you're obsessing, just obsess it, because there's no control, because there's no one really here doing anything. It's only what's happening. And there's just nothing that you can really do about it. So you're just basically saying, yeah, if you're obsessing, obsess. If you're not obsessing, you're not upset. It doesn't really matter. And I think either if you're in the story or the person's fell off in non-duality, if you're in the story, you're being authentically you. And then if you're out of the story, it is what's appearing to happen. So either or, I call it owning it. Just own it. I don't care if it's owning your obsession, because when the twin flame is here, do you know that time when the twin flame is just here?
Mm-hmm.
You
The
can't get out
obsessive.
of that. You can't get
No.
out of that shit. It's just a repeat psycho. I mean, if anybody that has a twin flame knows what I'm talking about, they're literally right here. They're like a nag, you
Yeah.
know, and they're just here and here and here, and it's like the seeking, just, and you're like, I used to say, I can't miss the guy. He's like in my face,
Mm-hmm.
24/7. And the question was saying, can you telepathically talk to them? If telepathic is going to happen, it's going to
It
happen.
happened.
You can't create telepathic connection. It happens on its own.
Yeah.
So, I mean,
I
all right,
mean, and you know, the person, whether the person stops obsessing or they still continue to obsess, it doesn't really fucking matter. I mean, who's to say that that's going to stop the twin flame from appearing to happen? All right. Who's to say that they won't or they will? I mean, there's no inkling, there's no telling on how and when the twin flame will ever appear. And it won't be because, oh, I stopped obsessing or I stopped doing telepathy with them, or I was doing telepathy with them and I was obsessing. It doesn't matter. There's nowhere where it says that if you do any of these things or not do any of them, that it's going to stop things from happening. There's no textbook. There's no rule book. You know, I mean, I know you can go online, you can go on the internet and you can look things up, but even with that, those people that are writing those books or whatever, you know, teachers, coaches, whatever, they're just assuming because it's something that happened to them. And if the person resonates, then okay, but that doesn't necessarily mean that that's going to happen for you or anybody else. It's just, and it's not because they were healing neither. And it wasn't because they were obsessively thinking or not obsessively thinking. It's just because the twin decided to show up at that time. There's no, you can't, it's a catch-22. You can't really say why they showed up. You can't say, well, it's because I wasn't obsessively thinking of them, or it was because I was or I wasn't. You can't go by that because really one has nothing to do with the other. The twin just shows up because the twin showed up. So you trying to stop obsessively thinking about them is just basically, for me, it was an uncomfortable feeling because it was naturally just happening for me. And I was trying to get out of that because I thought it was wrong. And there is no right, wrong way to be, really.
you know, I think the biggest misconception about twin flame, path, and spirituality is you have control and you're going to get somewhere because they're both saying, hey, do this and you get that. And that doesn't happen. Like, oh, meditate, you'll become enlightened. Oh, do this, pull back, don't be needy, and your twin flame will come back. It's the same shit. It's the same cycle that doesn't lead you anywhere but to realize that you're nothing and you have no control and there's nobody here. So whether you're obsessing or not, it is what it is. Whether they're going to come, it is what it is. But we have one person that wanted to ask if you could talk about the divine feminine and the divine masculine, if there is such a thing.
That's just made up. There's no such thing as a divine feminine and divine masculine. That's another thing, another story, another fairy tale of the twin flame journey that keeps the person stuck in this vicious fucking cycle because they believe that there's a divine feminine and a divine masculine. I used to believe in it. I used to believe that that was real. Now I don't even know what that is. To me, it's just energy appearing as is. And if you want to call it a divine feminine or a divine masculine, then go ahead. There's nothing wrong with it. But I feel like the person starts to believe in it, just like they believe in the whole twin flame story. And then that's when it becomes a repetitive, vicious cycle. And they're like, oh, the divine feminine has to reach certain levels for the divine masculine to align with her. I remember that. And there's no levels to really reach to get your divine masculine twin flame to come your way and align with who you are, because there is no alignment. You are already it. You are already in alignment, if you want to call it that. And you being in alignment, whatever, is not going to bring the twin flame. The twin flame is not going to magically appear because of that. The twin flame comes because the twin flame is just appearing. It's just happening. I do want to say, though, there was a lady that was asking, and I don't want to say any names, but she was asking, like, how can I detach from my twin flame? I can't stop obsessively thinking about him. And she was saying how she had a hard time sleeping. She can't go to bed. And I told her, like, really, unfortunately, there's really nothing you can do. That will stop when it stops. It will just stop on its own. But I did say, you know, because something that has helped me with the obsessive thinking on anything, actually, is I do say my mantras to kind of set the tone and ease everything. But it is work. And you'll have to do it a lot to continue to keep to tone it down. I did say that, you know, you can meditate, whatever the person wants to do, but those are all just tools. But it's not gonna bring the twin flame closer. Just because you feel like you're at a certain vibration doesn't necessarily mean that that's going to bring the twin flame closer to you. And a lot of people will say, well, I was at a high vibration and my twin flame just, you know, knocked on my door. I couldn't believe it. You know, I was at a high vibration and he showed up. It wasn't because you were at a high vibration, because there are people that are feeling good and chipper and stuff like that, and the twin flame still doesn't fucking appear. It just so happens that they appeared that day. They knocked on your door.
Chipper.
You know what I mean? Oh, I was feeling good. My day was going good. I was seeing numbers and everything. And all of a sudden, there he was. There are times where I was feeling good and chipper or whatever. And he still didn't appear, and I wasn't looking for it neither.
Oh,
you know what I mean? I wasn't looking for the shit, but you know what I'm saying? He still didn't show up. I don't think it matters what you do.
It absolutely, yeah. I mean,
Continue
so in the story or in the illusion, so like kind of before non-duality, there's always a feeling of, if I do this, I'll get this. If I meditate, I'll get enlightened. If I don't think about my twin flame, he'll come back. If I'm happy, then he'll be, you know, if I get my shot, there's a constant, the story is always leading you somewhere. There's somewhere to go. There's something to get. If I'm chipper, then he will come. And all of that is an illusion. All of that is a story. And I don't know how to say this in the right way, but non-duality, there's no story anymore. There's nowhere to get. There's no one to get. There's nothing to get, because there's nobody here to want to get it, because there's no one that really exists. So we're here talking about twin flames and non-duality. We're not talking about neutrality. We're not talking about being in a state of mind. We're not saying, oh, you need to detach. We're saying it is what it is. This is it. And that's a whole nother ball game than what the teachers are talking about out there, because the teachers are telling you to do something. We're telling you just to, it is what it is. Whatever's happening is what it is. And that's more of a non-duality talk. I'm not saying it right, maybe, but I'm trying to explain a way that maybe someone can hear me in a different way. But I do have a question. What do you think about so when I was in my twin flame story, I actually was like really like coming at him like a lot, and then he would back away. And someone could say that to you, like, hey, I see that I was coming at him a lot, and then he'd back away. And when I was quiet, he would come back. So you're saying, what would you say about that? Like that actually, that's what they
That,
see in the story.
yeah, that can happen. That can happen. That's what I mean, it's exactly, it happened exactly the way it did. Um, but I know of other stories where a person was on the twin flame and the twin flames kept coming back, kept sticking around. It's catch 22. You have stories where they back away. You have stories where they don't back away. It's crazy. Matter of fact, I wish I could have one of my friends on here that had that happen, where they were going back and forth, and he would still come around. She went through the dark night of soul and all that shit. Apparently, the dark night of soul, she went through all those. Because see, that's what pisses me off, is a lot of people will say, well, if you didn't go through the dark night of soul, or if you didn't have anything happen to you, then it's not your twin flame. I've had a few people say that, and how can you even say that when we don't even know what a twin flame fucking is, really? I feel like so many people different people resonate with different stories. You may resonate with the story that it happened to somebody else too. And what happens is the story just gets bigger and bigger because there's more people resonating. You know what I'm saying? And then all of a sudden there comes this concept, twin flame, that comes into play. Oh, well, then that's a twin flame. But really, I feel like, have you ever shared stories with certain people and they're like, oh, that happened to me too? Right? That's what I feel like happened with the whole twin flame thing. I feel like so many people resonated with other people's stories, and it got bigger and bigger and bigger because they made it out to be this huge phenomena, whatever you want to call it. Can't even say the word right. And then it became this big community, almost like a cult, because everybody it turned into like a religion, a belief, because so many people were resonating with the same story. But then you hear of other stories of twin flames where they went through other things, and then another person resonated with that, another person resonated with that, and it became this big drawn out story as well. So who's to say what's real and what's true and what's not? Like, I just feel like certain people resonate with certain situations, and it doesn't need to be a big deal. It's just what's appearing to happen. It's just what's happening.
It's the same thing with the spiritual world. It's just this cult, and you have to be a certain way. You have to be positive there, and you have to, be giving, and you have to do this so you can reach God and enlightenment. And then the same thing with the twin flame. You have to be this way. You have to go clean your chakras. It's like this carrot hanging. Hey, come get this. Come get this. And it never comes. In both ways, it never comes, and it's devastating, and you might as well just let it go, because you don't get anywhere. All those people that say that they're at this certain vibration, it's impossible for that to happen. There's no such thing as energy staying the same all the time. They must be meditating 24 hours a day.
4 hours a day.
Yeah, I mean, that's what you have to do. I couldn't even meditate. I gave up on meditating, like really fast in my journey, because I was like, I can't stop these thoughts. I can't stop these. I have no control. We're not even here for us to say, oh, stop this thought. It's all one. It's all coming to play the way it wants to. And it's just like a big, I wish I knew this before, I wish.
It's a big clusterfuck.
Yeah, it's a big clusterfuck. And I wish I didn't spend so much time and energy doing but there's no control. It happened. It's what appeared to happen. But I don't know.
It's so sad because there's so many apparent twin flamers out there that, if they're being told, like I said, there's so many teachers out there that will tell them that, if you didn't go through the awakening or the dark night of soul, then it's not your twin flame. So this person is really believing the teacher. And they're like, well, God, it breaks the person down because it's like they're believing in the whole fairy tale. And we don't know I don't know what a fucking, and the whole catalyst to the twin flame is a catalyst to the awakening. I don't know. I don't know what that was that I apparently went through after I, parted ways with the person that I met. I don't know why I went through all of that, but there are others that share the same story. But that doesn't make it a twin flame thing, though. Just because there's other people that share the same story as you does not mean that it's a thing. It just means that it happened to them as well. But we don't know what that is. And it doesn't necessarily mean like it's a catalyst to the awakening. I don't know what is that? I don't know what that is. I mean, apparently things did happen. I'm not knocking that. Something happened and it was seen. It was noticed. But we don't know what any of that stuff is and why it even appeared to happen the way it did.
Well, the mind, the self, is the one that makes it out to something. It makes everything out to something. It makes this an arm, makes this a clip, it makes the twin a twin. When the truth is, we have no idea what anything really is and why it's happening. And that's why the twin flame story gets so big that it's like hard to stop believing that. It's a fairy tale. It's a real big fairy tale that fucked me up.
A lot of people, it has. And I think I don't know if I hadn't have seeked and looked into it as much as I did, maybe it wouldn't have been as much of a fairy tale for me. Yeah. And I would have just been going through it. But because I went and seeked out, and I can't help that from happening, stop that's just what happened. But I seeked out, I had to know why it was happening. And then, I ended up being a part of the whole twin flame community. Yeah. And I even, was doing tarot card readings on the divine feminine and the divine masculine. Like I literally believed that there was such a thing. And now when I look back, your twin apparently isn't supposed to be separate from you, right? It's all just energy anyways. But when you say that there's a divine feminine and a divine masculine, that's separate. So it kind of contradicts it. There is no separation whatsoever.
And so do you feel like there's others right now?
I don't feel like there's others. I feel like there's that it can appear that way. It can appear that there's others. That's what's noticed. But it's just energy appearing as that.
So when you like yell at another, is it just yelling?
But it's just what's appearing to happen. It's just what's arising.
Appearing to happen.
It's just what's arising. I don't look at someone being separate from me. And there's not a someone, because I don't even know what that is.
Yeah, yeah. So we're talking straight non-dual talk here. So if you're...
You started it!
Huh?
You started it!
Yeah. No, I want to. I want to make sure that the viewers understand that this is straight up. This is some Tony Parson, Jim Newman, twin flame situation here, because somebody could watch our video right now and say, hey, what are you talking about? This is really happening. And it is happening in the story. When you haven't woken up yet, if that's what you want to call it, or you haven't,
apparently.
I don't know what to call it. Apparently, I don't even know what to call it. But if you haven't had a realization yet or awakening, yes, it is happening to you, because you're a person. You believe that the center here is an actual individual. But when that goes, what Shannon is talking about is that there is no other. There is no twin. There is no other person. And you don't have to do anything because there's no separation.
There is no separation. And that was the whole thing. I remember with the spirituality shit that they would teach you that. they would say that, when it came to twin flames, they're like, your twin flame is not separate from you. And I never could understand that until it apparently happened. So once realization happened, I realized that, wow, like there's no separation at all. Like it's all just energy appearing as is, appearing as a twin flame, appearing as a divine feminine and divine masculine. And that's why I never could understand. Okay, you say there's no separation, but you're teaching them that there's a divine feminine and a divine masculine, which is separation. And they're going to continue to keep seeing it that way because you're telling them that there's this and this, when there is not a this and a this. There's no such thing. It's, it's just energy appearing as that, but it's not separate.
It's all one energy. It's all just this energy just appearing. And I don't even know why they say that
I don't know
separation.
Neither.
It's really doesn't even make sense to me.
Because they say that you got the feminine energy and the masculine energy. I don't even know what that is.
It's like they're adding to the separation even more. Yeah, like, oh, you're half souls here and you're half, they're adding more to the separation.
They're teaching the people to be more. They're like still seeking, waiting for themselves to come into an alignment with their masculine and feminine energy.
Well,
what the fuck is that? It's all one. Well, it's not even one. I don't even know.
Well, the same thing with spirituality. They're saying, hey, this higher, whatever you want to call it, is separation. It's two.
Yeah, it's two.
It's like the story is trying to tell you there's no separation because one person said there was no separation, and then they took it and they're trying to make it like it's union, like two people are coming, like you in union with God, you in union with your twin. But this is all a story because there is no, it's already that.
You're already that.
Yeah. So the story has this longing, has this, I'm going to get to this. And it's so bad. It's so bad. It's like, I wish that I never even had those stories. I would have got here faster or something,
What about the part, what's really sad is they are waiting for the twin flame to appear physically.
Yeah.
And they wait and they wait and they wait, but the twin flame can appear in any kind of way. We're just so used to seeing it physically that we think that that's the norm. But there is no norm here. There's no such thing. Energy can arise as anything. And if there are things that are, if there is energy that's arising that resonates with you when it comes to the apparent twin flame, then that's what it is. Whether it's the car, whether it's hearing the name, whether it's what else, seeing someone that looks like them, apparently, whether you think it's 1111 that reminds you of them, then it is what it is.
But is it easier for you?
Happen. Huh?
Is it so after realization? Okay, so like what I've noticed is that like before, every time I would see like 1111 or his name or whatever, then I would be like, oh my God, he's coming. Oh my God. And now it's meaningless to me. It doesn't mean when I see it doesn't, I don't have it. There's no, it's just, okay, that's 1111. It doesn't have a story to go with 1111. It doesn't have a story. It just stops. It just is. It is this, what's appearing at 1111. Great. Like there's nothing to say about it.
And you may have a thought that makes you think, oh, about that person because, you're so used to it all kind of, coinciding with one another. But it's just noticed. It's just noticed. And there's no more separation there. You're not seeing any of those things that are appearing as separate anymore from one another. They're not separate from one another. It's just energy that's arising as a fucking car that resembles the twin flame or hearing the name. It's just energy arising as that. And you're no longer seeing it being separate from the physical body that you're so used to seeing or waiting to see.
Yeah.
It's all just energy appearing as is. And yeah, you just no longer see separation anymore. There's no the car and the fucking hearing the name and all that shit is not separate from the physical body. There's
Is
no
it separate from
separation at
you?
all.
Is it separate from you?
It's not separate from you. It's not, I don't even know when I don't even identify with the car
Yeah.
being a car anyways. It's just what's appearing. And um, but if you're in the story, you see a car and you're
And
seeing
you have a story.
and you have a story and you see the name and the numbers and all that stuff, and you're looking at all of it as separate, and you're thinking, oh, I'm seeing all of these things, so that means I'm coming into union. When there is no union, it's just what's arising, and it's just it helps you kind of in the story identify with the twin flame, but it is just that. It's just that. That's just what's appearing. It's not separate from the twin flame. It's none of it's separate. There is no separation at all.
Yeah, I mean, when I think back, if I heard his voice or I heard about him or if I saw a number and I always like, oh my God, so now he's gonna come back and now, we're gonna be into union and now, you know, everything led to something and now it just is for what it is. Everything shows up just for that. There's no where it's going to lead. It's
Yeah.
not going to take me somewhere. So it's like taking it for what it is, I guess, maybe in a way, or taking
Yeah.
it for,
It's the same, I
I don't
think.
know.
I look at it
Yeah.
all as being the same.
Yeah.
There's no separation. It's all the same. And there may be times where I resonate with the fact when I see the car or hear the name of it. I resonated by him, the energy of him, whatever. But I don't see it as being separate though from him, me, or anything. It's just a memory or whatever that's just coming up. You know what I mean?
So your energy doesn't seem to want to seek it out because
No, yeah.
there's no separation anymore.
There's nothing to seek out.
There's nothing to seek out anymore. So the
Mm-mm.
seeker has died. The seeking the twin flame has died. The hope for union, the hope for enlightenment is just not there anymore. And that's freedom. That's freedom.
Mm-hmm.
Because there's nowhere to go anymore. There's nothing to get.
And when we say freedom and liberation doesn't necessarily mean you're not going to feel the quote unquote pain that arises or the sadness, whatever. That shit can appear to happen, but it is what it is. And there's no more seeking out of trying to heal it because you can't control what's already appearing to happen. Because the moment you try to heal that, another energy is arising shortly after that, and another one. So you're like a dog chasing its tail. It's like a dangling carrot. There's nothing you need to heal. There's no healing, even though it may feel that way. But if you notice, when a person tries to heal, they're going through it again. There's something else that appears to happen, and then another thing arises, and you're still trying to heal that and still trying to heal that. So it's like a vicious cycle, and you're not healing anything really.
Well, it's the loop of the person. It's the loop. The person is just constantly, if it's not your twin, it's going to be something else, and it's going to just be the story, and it just goes round and round and round. And after awakening, it's just this. There's nothing really to chase anymore. There's nothing to figure out. There's nothing to do to change you. There's nothing. It just is what it is always. And, we wanted to make this video because we can't be the only twin flames out there that had gone through our twin flames and spiritual path and then come to this, where we had a realization for non-duality. So there's someone else that got to be out there saying, hey, what's happening here? And we were confused, right? We were confused and we were you know, it's not easy to transition or whatever you want to call it. I mean, when you're in and out and stuff, it's not easy, but you know, we're here to talk about all of that. We're here to talk about all of that and, you know, let everybody know that they can talk about whatever they want to talk about here. And I don't know if you wanted to add anything to
Well,
our
I remember when realization happened over here, the realization that there is no separation at all. I was like, holy shit. There is no twin flame.
Mm.
What is a twin flame? Everything that I was told of the story twin flame, it's
Vanished.
just nothing. It
Yeah.
was neither here nor there. It was just made up. It was a facade. It was artificial. And I felt like people need to hear this.
Yeah.
I need to speak about this because there are others out there that they have realized it as well, that it's all just a story to keep the person stuck. I mean, God, can you imagine how many years people have been holding on and holding on? There are people out there for 10, 20 years that are still trying to seek out. This
Yeah.
one lady said 10 years.
You
I
have to
just got
be
a
ready
message
to
from
hear
her.
this. Yeah, you
Huh?
have to be ready to hear this. Like
Yeah.
you have to be ready because, you know, my journey was like 5 years or 6 years. And if I would have heard this in the beginning, I would have been like, hell no, you
I'd have been
know?
like, fuck you.
Yeah, I'd have been like, no, okay, there's no way. But in the end, when I was just watching this thing just happen and I was seeking and going crazy and just and wanting to get out of it, honestly. I was like, I don't want this person. I'm so sick and tired of all this seeking.
And that's
I
what I
was
was
actually,
hearing.
yeah, I was like, I can't, this is some bullshit. I mean, I've gotten over people in a month or two, but this person I can't get over in 5 years. I mean, it was, it was unlike me to behave the way I was behaving. I was sick and tired of it and really fed up from him running away and me chasing and it was just becoming a really fucking headache. And when I realized that it was just a story, it was oh man. So I cried a lot. It was tough because I had so much investment. I thought I did everything that I thought I was gonna get something and I didn't get
Yeah.
anything. So I'm sure anybody that's hearing us, you guys did the same thing. You know, you guys did all
We're
the
almost
tarot
about
card and oh, okay, we're gonna hang
we're
up.
about to
But
get cut off, but
anyways, it was
we have to
great.
continue more of this. And we will be
Okay,
back on to talk more for sure. All right, girl. I will talk to you soon.
okay,
This was
bye.
fun.
Yeah, it was fun. Bye.
Bye.